Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to grade Michigan's performance versus SMU on Saturday in a 45-20 win in the Big House that maybe sounded a little bit better than it really was. I'm going to go through offense, passing and rushing, defense, the passing and rushing defense, talk about the special teams, and then get into the coaching staff. Let you know what I thought about Jim Harbaugh and his coaching performance, and of course his assistant coaches, how they did against a putrid SMU team that really kind of hung around with Michigan, had the game tied up until midway through the second quarter before the Wolverine started to pull away. Let's get into it with my first grade. Talk about the passing game and one Shea Patterson and his group of wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs catching the ball out of the backfield from him there. I am giving the passing game an A-. Shea Patterson, after what I thought was a little bit of a lackluster performance, mostly because I was jaded by the loss, but he has looked nice in the past 2 weeks, but they're not letting him throw enough, in my opinion, based on what I've seen from other parts of the offense. So Shea Patterson had a really nice game against SMU, 14 of 18. That's been a 77% clip, I believe we said, on the year, completion percentage there. And he threw for 237, 3 touchdowns, all to Donovan Peoples-Jones, who we'll talk about here in just a moment, and 1 interception in the red zone, which you've got to avoid. Jim Harbaugh, multiple times in his post-game press conference and a podcast that he does with the athletic department, blamed it on the tight end, who was Sean McCune, for not coming back to the ball, for not at least even trying to switch from offense to defense on that one. The star of the day, they call him DPJ. I kind of called him out last week, not called him out, but in my stock up, stock down, something to prove, I said Donovan Peoples-Jones has something to prove to every Michigan football fan, and really to himself, that he has the ability to be a big-time receiver, can catch the ball downfield and not just be the featured wide receiver in a dink and dunk game that goes for 5 or 6 yards per catch and doesn't really break any tackles and get out into the open field. So Peoples-Jones looked great, 4 catches for 90 yards. Wasn't even the leading receiver on the team with those 90 yards, but 3 touchdown catches. Looked nice on all of them, especially a back shoulder fade from Shea Patterson inside the 10-yard line that he made a nice catch on. The leading receiver as far as yards go is one Zach Gentry, who I think had a big year for the Wolverines. 6'8", really struggled in the first 2 weeks. There's Notre Dame just even catching the ball, making plays. Didn't show out when Shea Patterson went to him a few times against Notre Dame when they really needed it. Dropped a few balls in the first couple games and shows up big here. 4 catches for 95 yards. He's becoming Shea Patterson's safety valve down the seam or kind of up the sideline. He can catch the ball at 4 very nice catches, 23.8 yards per reception for Zach Gentry, leading the Wolverines with 95 yards receiving. Didn't get into the end zone in this one. That was all Donovan Peoples-Jones. Thinking of Shea Patterson throwing in a 71% clip for the season, which, by the way, if he keeps up, is going to obliterate the Michigan single-season record for pass completion percentage in a season. I believe it's actually Jim Harbaugh. I'm trying to verify that. It's not an easy stat to look up. You got to go through player by player, but Jim Harbaugh threw for 65% in 1986. Does Michigan need to become a pass-heavy team? Do they need to avoid and just abandon this I formation or split backs style that they came out with in the first quarter and most of the second quarter against SMU? Press like if you think yes. Press heart if you think no. If you're on YouTube, you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and just type yes or no into the comments. Maybe say pass heavy, yes. Hit me up in the comments. I'll be responding to all of those. And I want to know what you guys think. See what your peers think. Does Michigan need to avoid the run, change their DNA, and go to a pass-heavy game? Take a look at the scoreboard. We're going to show some highlights here, I believe, from Donovan Peoples-Jones. That's right. Donovan Peoples-Jones, the star of the game in a number of ways, but he couldn't have made these plays last year with the quarterback play that Michigan saw from John O'Korn, Brandon Peters, and Wilton Speight. They would not have been able to hit Peoples-Jones on these plays we're showing you right here. He really got a touchdown in 3 different ways. One of them was on a deep pass down the middle of the field. This first one that we're showing you was dragging left or right to left. The second one coming up is a back shoulder fade where he stops, turns around, makes the catch, almost impossible for the defensive back to make a play on that one. And with that, Peoples-Jones is your star of the day with the 3 touchdowns. J.U. Chesson a couple years back had 4 touchdowns in a game, but a 3-touchdown game for a wide receiver is usually done by a special player, usually done by a big-time Michigan football wide receiver, which we hope Peoples-Jones is turning into. You see, 45-20. What if you bet on this game? Would you have won money? Well, I lost on Michigan. They were given 35.5 points up. I thought they were going to score 55-60 and only give up 3, 6, 9 points or something like that to SMU. SMU ultimately gets 20 on the board, which is really surprising. You can bet on the Wolverines this coming week on BetDSI. I went 3-2 my picks overall. Had I not picked Michigan, I would have won 3 or 4. But BetDSI is the place Chat Sports recommends you bet. Chatsports.com/bet. Use this promo code on screen right now. Use it. 120% cash bonus on your deposit. You put in 100, you get 120 extra. You put in 500. I'm going to say this a little quieter, $600 free in your account. I definitely recommend you bet with BetDSI. Use promo code GOBLUE and get going them today. You can get my picks every week if you follow me on Twitter. Let's keep this bad boy moving. The running game. How did the running game do without star running back Karan Higdon out for the game with injury, and then Chris Evans tweaked a hamstring, maybe out a couple of weeks. We're not sure about the timeline in total. I'm giving the running game a B- for this game. I think that Chris Evans did enough to keep the chains moving, but actually I was surprised when I saw a true Wilson down the stretch of the game. He got some carries, mostly in the second half, but 11 carries for 53 yards, only a long of 12, which means that Wilson really isn't breaking any tackles and going long. So what that means to me is that, look, he's not taking any losses. He's not getting stuff for 0, 1 yards, anything like that either. He's getting consistently 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yards per carry. And if you're getting that out of a running back, if you're getting 3 carries, you just go for it on 4th down every time, right? 3 yards a carry, and you can never give the ball up. You'll score a touchdown on every single possession if you give the ball to True Wilson 4 straight times, at least, according to my math. All right, keep it going on Michigan football. SMU post-game grades. Coming up next, we have the rushing D. How did Michigan do on defense when it came to stopping the running game? Did they do well? Did they not do well? Here's my grade for the running game. I am giving the rushing D a B-. And why are we giving them a B- on this one? So going through the stats here from SMU, it wasn't a crazy game for them by any means. They had their running back, Xavier Jones, 13 carries, 50 yards. But where I think they struggled, why didn't they get a B, B+, an A- is because they let the quarterbacks run a little bit. William Brown came in, in reserve of Ben Hicks. He had 8 carries for 48 yards, and you could call that maybe the passing game in some result because some of those were on scrambles. But nevertheless, Michigan gave up 48 yards to him, 110, which is a good number, but against a team like SMU, which is in the bottom 10 or 15 in every statistical category, to give up 319 yards, but 110 of them on the yards, I'm giving a B- on this one. They really need to give up 50, 60, 75 yards to get anything higher than a B- from me against a team as putrid, at least so far this season, as SMU. So that is the offensive stats for SMU versus the University of Michigan football team on Saturday in the Big House. Michigan moves to 2-1, 45-20 victory over SMU. You see the stat leaders across the bottom part of the scene. Shea Patterson, Chris Evans, Donovan Peoples-Jones were the stars for the Wolverines, and they did not cover that 35.5-point spread. But had they, I would have been 4-1. But ultimately, Michigan was one of my 2 losses on BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet. You get the 120% bonus code. I just can't believe people aren't just signing up in droves. Maybe they are. I have a lot of people messaging me and getting in on BetDSI. I'm exchanging picks with people, but they are the place to go. Chatsports.com, a Michigan football only promo code GOBLUE. It's chatsports.com/bet. Will redirect you right to the Go Blue landing page. Get started with them today for the 120% deposit match. Keep the grades going. Passing defense. What grade do we give the pass D against SMU, one of the worst passing teams in the entire country? The passing D grade is a D. D is getting a D on this one, passing grade. The safeties were just a little ridiculously playing poorly on Saturday, and they gave up 209 yards passing to an SMU team that could barely move the ball all season so far. And it was, I just think, frankly, a kind of putrid performance in the D all around. I'm going to get to my kind of total grades. And I think I'm going to point some of that at the coaching staff. Don Brown, you are coming into focus on my criticisms for this defense. But the reason that the defense gets a D, not only because of the 209 yards, but SMU had to use multiple quarterbacks, and they still got this 209-yard running game. The rushing attack for them, 110 yards, was okay, but the fact that you give up 209 yards to an SMU, you couldn't stop a slant pattern to save your life. Lavert Hill looks like he has regressed. He's already looking potentially what he's going to do in the NFL. I think that that Michigan should be ashamed of what they did against the pass against SMU. I'm giving them a D. The defense, you're getting a D from James Yoder. You can believe that, ladies and gentlemen. Pass defense gets a D from me for the performance against SMU. Want to know what you guys think? Keep it going in the comments. I think you guys can tell me what your grades are in the comments below. See if they agree or disagree with me. And if you want to message with me, do it on Twitter. And if you're going to do it on Twitter, do it to get this jersey. This is my jersey. I wore it to the Michigan-Florida game last year, and I've got a little inventory of these bad boys to give away. I've got 5 more. I've already given away a bunch to people on Twitter. They let me give away a few more of them, so DM me on Twitter. I'll tell you how to get started with one of our partners, that if you start with them, they're going to let me send you a free Michigan Maize Jordan jersey. It's one of these knockoff brands. This is the Maize Jordan jersey, the one that I think is the most unique, and it's actually the only jersey I have bought for Michigan football in 20 plus years. So I love this jersey. Want to give one away to you guys. Go ahead and send me a DM on Twitter at James T. Yoder. Keep the grades going. Special teams. I'm actually giving the special teams an A, right? So Will Hart has turned into one of the best punters in America, second in the country if he qualified. Hasn't had enough punts yet, at over 50 yards per punt. Punted twice on Saturday versus SMU. 50 yards for each of them, which is kind of a funny little coincidence. So Will Hart getting an A from me and the entire special teams. Quinn Nordine, after missing an extra field goal against Western Michigan, came back with a nice field goal against SMU, hit all 6 of his extra points. The punt and kick return teams are all over people. They did not let SMU get anywhere on the returns, the 2 punts, and then of course the 6 or 7 kickoffs that Michigan had. So these special teams for me is getting an A. And with that being said, I've gone through all the players. I want to know from you guys. I've got a question for you at home, watching on Facebook Live, watching on the Chat Sports YouTube channel. Who has been Michigan's team MVP so far this year? I think there's a bunch of different candidates that you can consider. I think Nico Collins may have been in consideration before a poor performance on Saturday where he just had 1 catch for 3 yards and kind of disappeared. I believe it's coming down to just a few players. It's got to be Shea Patterson for one on the offense. I think if you flip over to the defensive side, there's a couple guys that stand out. For me, definitely Devin Bush. He is, without question, one of the best players in the team right now. You could say he is the MVP, but hasn't made any massively impactful plays, like an interception return like Josh Metellus did. And the other guy, after what I thought was a slower start, mediocre performance against Notre Dame, Chase Winovich is probably the only other guy. So for me, it's those 3 guys. I probably would actually give it to Shea Patterson because he is kind of turned around. I actually have confidence in the offense for the first time in several years, really, with Shea Patterson under center. So he is my MVP so far. I'll come out through a quarter of the season for the Michigan Wolverines. Let me know in the comments below, Facebook Live, and the Chat Sports YouTube channel. Take it to our last grade for today, the coaching staff. Jim Harbaugh, Ed Warner, you've got Don Brown, a bunch of coaches with a ton of credentials. They've got to be getting a big grade, right? They're winning 2 straight games against a couple of roast beef Tech and Panera Bread U. C grade for the coaching staff. You can't go almost 2 full quarters without doing anything on offense and getting anything higher than a C for me. But then you go in the defense, you go up 20 points and over 300 yards to an SMU team that couldn't move the ball at all in their first couple games of the year. I have also been told just in the last few hours that there has been some noticeable disagreements between Jim Harbaugh and coaching staff, mostly on the offense of who to play at certain times of the game. I was told that there was a couple offensive linemen that were told they were going into the game on Saturday, didn't get in the game, and was there some disagreement between coaches, between offensive line coaches, between Jim Harbaugh and whoever he's calling his offensive coordinator these days is someone we don't know the answer to. I am giving the coaching staff a C. They need to get on the same page going forward, and they really need to figure out a way for Michigan to come out stronger, to start games and not be down 3 touchdowns in Notre Dame, to not be struggling to score or move the ball at all against a team like SMU. Coaching staff, you're on my radar. You need to do a better job, get this team up up to the level that they could play at and hopefully compete for a Big Ten that is looking more and more winnable as the weeks go by. 3 weeks in the season, you've only got Ohio State and Penn State that have lived up to their preseason rankings. One more time, tell you about Reveal Suits. If you want to know how to get this suit coat with the Michigan maize liner with the blue block M, it says Michigan Wolverines right here. You roll up the sleeves. Imagine walking to a business meeting and you just go, hey guys, it's a bunch of Michigan State or Ohio State grads. You will own the room. Hopefully if Michigan had just won the prior Saturday, you'll even more own the room. And get one from them, info@revealsuits.com. I'm also sponsored by Mizzen & Main. Check out this dress shirt, Performance Fabrics from Mizzen & Main. Comfortable.af is the website for them, so go ahead and get you one of these amazing Performance Fabrics dress shirts today. I will be back on Tuesday with my Michigan football stock up, stock down, saying about 5 players who did great, 3 who didn't do so great, and a few players who have something to prove as we head into Big Ten season Saturday against Nebraska. I will see you then.